Good morning, all. We are at 10 a.m. We're not going to call things to order quite yet. We're waiting for everybody to join in. But if you would be willing to go ahead and put yourselves on mute if you're not speaking, that would be great. We appreciate everybody joining us today, though. Okay, we are going to begin recording our meeting, just to give everybody a heads up.
Recording in progress.
A new feature Zoom has is where a little message might come up on your screen just to confirm that you acknowledge we're recording. So it's 10:02. We're going to call to order the Tuesday, June 8th Board of Commissioners meeting at this time. And if you would please rise where you're at for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll put a flag up on our screen here in just a moment. And if you'd say with us, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Okay, at this time, we will accept any public comment for items not appearing on our agenda today. Is there any public comment at this time? And if there is, please feel free to unmute yourself and offer public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, we are seeing no one here for public comment. We are going to proceed on with our agenda and go to our meeting minutes from the meeting that was held on June 1st. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 1st.
I will have to recuse myself because
yes.
I was not at the meeting.
Sure, I will second the motion to approve the minutes, and we will ask for an abstention as well, Commissioner, for you. Absolutely. All those in favor of approving those minutes do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
One abstain.
Okay. All right. The motion carries with 2 ayes and 1 abstention. We will move on with our agenda and go into our 21st proclamation of this year, 21, and it is proclaiming June 7th through 11th as Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week in Center County. And we are going to turn it over to our director, Julia Sprinkle, this time. And it looks like she's sharing a video camera with Leah as well. And we are, I think, joined by many of your team, Julia. So we'll turn it over to you for further comments. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I am so glad to see so many members of my team on this Zoom this morning. At Center County Children and Youth Services, we have 9 caseworkers, supervisors, and a total of 30 caseworkers. As you can imagine, the pandemic has been really difficult for the caseworkers to provide services to the families, not only because they risk their own personal health as well as that of their families, but also because they're isolated. The job that we do at Children and Youth Services is confidential. And so it's not as if my staff is able to talk to family and friends about what they do. And so really their supervisors and coworkers become the people that they're able to share their frustrations, their fears, their successes and joys with. And so this has made it really difficult for them with the isolation and not being able to be all together in the office. We have 54 staff in our office here at the Willow Bank, and with social distancing, it was impossible for all of us to be here for any significant time together. So that's also been difficult. It's been difficult for the supervisors in that they've had to become creative and innovative on how to support and additionally train new workers, which has been really difficult during this time. We've continued to experience turnover. Our staff has really stepped up and taken the lead in some of those areas, and they've really shown how resilient and committed they are to the families and children of Center County. And I could not be more proud of them just because of everything they've done during this time, and have really rallied and have really continued to provide, I think, quality services to the people of Center County, and really all of them, you know. And it's not just this is Child Welfare Worker Appreciation Week, but it really is a team effort up here. We are a team. We can't get the job done without our clerical support, without our fiscal support, and of course, without your support and the colleagues and, you know, the other human services, you know, Natalie Corman, you know, the Director of Human Services, and I see that our good friend Dame Blomason, who makes sure that we have all kinds of vehicles and transportation at the ready, is also a ready, willing partner to do whatever he can at any given time. And so we are so lucky and feel so valued to share the support of all the rest of the county as they too struggle to provide quality services during this time. Did you have anything to say?
Just thank you for all of your support. Thank you for taking the time to make this proclamation. I know this is a field that we all, for those of us that are in it, we love it. We do it for a reason, and it is not a field that you get a lot of public recognition for the work that you do. So having this opportunity and being able to have our staff have kind of this platform is wonderful. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for all your support.
Yeah, that recognition means a lot.
As we remember from years ago, we would many times have as many folks from CYS that could come down and fit into room 146. I think next year we'll be doing that again as we recognize this week coming up in 2022. But it's great to have everybody on Zoom here. We see a lot of familiar faces, and know your staff changes many times with new folks coming in. So we welcome everybody to the meeting today. Thank you for the dedication, diligence that you've gone about your work in such trying times. And as we see light at the end of the tunnel and it getting brighter, we want to support you in any way we can. So we continue to collaborate in many ways and look forward to that in the future. So on behalf of myself and the board, thank you very much for all the work you do. I'll open it up to any questions, or I'm sorry, any other comments from my fellow board members.
Just want to say briefly, thank you, Julia, Leah, and all of your staff. It's an amazingly tough job. Children are in difficult places, and our child welfare workers do what they can to make the situation better. You know, sometimes once something reaches the commissioner level and we deal with just a fraction of what you have to see oftentimes on a daily basis, I have to take a walk a couple times around the building. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Leah, Julia, and all your staff, thank you very much. Your work is incredibly important. We see the good and the bad outcomes on a routine basis, and all we can tell you is, you know, Godspeed in your endeavors, because you are dealing with really some of the most vulnerable individuals in our county, but at the same time, you're also dealing with some of the highest intense emotions. So, you know, your ability to work under that stress and under those conditions is just incredible at best. But most important, thank you very much for everything that you do for our county, keeping kids safe, and all the collaboration that you have, not only within the county, but outside the county, There are just so many different partnerships that make this all work, and without your dedication, I don't know what our communities would look like. So thank you. Thanks for keeping our kids safe and our families safe. And again, look forward to working with you again for another year.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, those comments again, we want to recognize this and appreciate all that you're doing this week and throughout the whole year. So we have this proclamation in front of us. It is to again proclaim June 7th through the 11th this week as Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week in Center County. Would there be a motion to adopt this proclamation?
Yes, an enthusiastic motion to adopt proclamation number 21 of 2021, proclaiming June 7th through 11th as Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week in Center County.
I will second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you again, everybody from us here and you at CYS. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Okay. We're going to move on through the agenda, going into our contracts and authorizations. We're going to turn it over to Chad Joyce to discuss the contract with AT&T. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning. Today I have a contract for consideration with AT&T to provide intrusion detection and prevention services, as well as a managed threat detection and response platform. The contract will be for 1 year for a total of $91,205.
Thank you, Chad. And this is, we are changing over. So just to, in terms of letting folks know who are looking at this, it's not as if this is the first day or first time period we're going to have it. We've had a vendor prior. We're phasing them out and going with this. So there's a seamless transition that's going to occur. We are still keeping our, as we see across the country with ransomware attacks, we're still having this is just a smooth transition going from one vendor to the other, correct?
Correct. Yes, we have a previous vendor. There will be a transition in the next couple of weeks where we'll have not even a single minute of downtime for these services. So we've been, this has been up and running as a proof of concept for a couple of weeks now. So we're ramping it up to get ready to take over our current product.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the contract with AT&T? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'd look for a motion to add it to next week's consent agenda.
Motion to add the contract with AT&T to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Chad.
Thank you.
Okay. Heading into our items for our office, we are looking at two items. This is related to agreements with McNeese, Wallach, and York, LLC. We have on the call with us our Center County Solicitor, Betsy Dupuy, to give a brief overview of this. We're also joined by Jeremy Breon, our Pathonetary and Clerk of Courts. And this does relate to a Pathonetary litigation. So we'll turn it over to Betsy to begin with.
Thank you, Mike. Real quickly, there is a lawsuit that's been filed in Commonwealth Court against Center among most of the counties in Pennsylvania by two school districts in Chester County. It is related to fees that would have been charged through the Pathonetary. CCAP came together and coordinated a joint defense agreement with McNeese, Wallace, and Urick, and that's on your agenda second here, along with the engagement of them to serve as counsel. They are up to 45 of the counties involved. So there's a great efficiencies and scale in using a firm to manage the defense in this case. There's an awful lot of expectation that this case is probably misguided in the Commonwealth Court because it's not typically a jurisdiction that allows for class action lawsuits, which these two school districts have attempted to raise, among other issues. I believe from the conversations that the various solicitors have had with McNeese Wallace, they have a good strategy to move forward. And I know the Personatary and his counsel have seen some of that as well. So we're comfortable that they have a plan to move this forward. And right now, the 45 or thereabout counties are in a similar position with respect to the defense. So working together makes sense. Obviously, if the case moves further and that is not the case, we will have the opportunity to extricate ourselves and retain separate counsel. But we're really hopeful that the court will see this as a matter of law, not either the correct court or the right case to be brought, and that this will get dismissed. And by sharing in the costs, we can avoid greater expense to the county. I know quoted in your agenda are the hourly rates, but I want to again reiterate that those rates will be split among 45 counties. The billing will all be handled through CCAP, and so it's a great way for the Commissioners Association to really help all of its county personataries. And I think it's important you mentioned that, Commissioner Pipe. It is in fact our personatary who is named. Sadly, no disrespect, Jeremy. We're confident that everything we've been doing in the personatary's office, both Jeremy and his predecessor, are certainly correct under the law and have been done appropriately. But the need for the commissioners is that it becomes a county expense to incur the litigation costs. So that's what's before you, is the engagement with McNeese Wallace. The personatary has already agreed and signed off accordingly, and then the joint defense common interest agreement as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Betsy. And again, we wanted to, if there's anything you'd like to add to this, Jeremy, please feel free to, but we wanted to recognize that you were on the call. And again, we have no doubt that this will be resolved quickly and thoroughly, but just wanted to, again, acknowledge you and see if there's anything you'd like to add to this.
I think Betsy's covered everything at this time for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. We'll see if there's any questions or comments on these two items prior to approving. Is there any questions or comments?
Well, actually, this is Steve. I do have one comment, and I don't exactly understand the process of which the school district went to. We've had no dealings with them, to the best of my knowledge. And at this point, it not only seems frivolous and misdirected, but I don't even think there's grounds for any conversation. I mean, Center County is a long way from Chester County, so I just find this just incredible. And I don't know who the leadership of that school board is, but it would appear to me that they should have better things to do.
Yeah, and let me just add, this is Solicitor Dupuy, that I think your points are straight on. That is why they have asked the Commonwealth Court to give them class jurisdiction, so that they would be representatives of a class that would include all school districts in the state, as well as all local municipalities, because the underlying dispute relates to the amount that is charged by the personatary for municipal governments to file a document, a pleading or a document in the personatary's office. And they're trying to rely on old law as opposed to the newer law, which allows the personatary to, by approval, by order of the president judge, to set fees. And of course, as you know, all the commissioners know very well, as well as Mr. Breon, those fees have changed a great deal over the last several years because the Commonwealth has required that Mr. Breon collect fees that then are remitted back to other people. So it is, sadly, Commissioner Dersham, it's a reliance on an old law that we believe is no longer valid, or shall I say has been usurped or replaced by newer law, as well as a court order in each county. And then the fact that they're trying to bring this on behalf of all municipal governments that would have filings in personatary offices. So should this go forward, we'll have a lot of work to do. But again, I think your comments summarize exactly the way McNeese Wallace presented it to all of us on a conference call as several weeks ago. So
I just find it incredibly disappointing that with the Chester Upland School District can unilaterally think that it can represent or particularly portray these grievances to every school district in Pennsylvania. when they, I'm sure, are just struggling like everybody else to get their kids back and educated. So again, I think they've got better things to do. This is an incredible waste of resources, and quite frankly, it's ridiculous. So I just had to get that off my chest. Thank you.
Yeah, we should note this is there's nothing to do with any Center County school districts this time, and so but I think we're hoping that this multi-pronged effort, joint collaborative of county governments across the state, is going to be able to sort of just help this resolve very quickly. I think hopefully the judiciary sees this to be something that, again, is frivolous and should be dismissed. But again, we'll go through the process. We'll go through the process. But so we appreciate those comments, Commissioner Dersham. Any other comments or questions on these two items? Okay, we are hearing and seeing none. We look for a motion to approve both items.
Motion to approve both of the commissioner items 1 and 2.
I will regrettably second them.
We appreciate that. It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on these two items? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you again, Betsy. Thank you again, Jeremy. Okay, we have two items under our emergency communications 911 office. We will turn it over to our director, Norm Spackman. Good morning, Norm.
Good morning. Two items for the agenda today. First one, in PA, the addressing authority is given to the local municipality. Since 1998, since the 1998 addressing project, many municipalities have retained the authority, but rely on our 911 office to assign and recommend addresses. This agreement gives the authority to Center County 911 to officially address structures and review and coordinate road names for Marion Township. Marion Township, part of this agreement, will retain the final approval for road names and the enforcement power. This is a good agreement to line addressing in Marion Township. The second request is a contract addendum with Tyler Technology as part of the Southern Alleghenies Regional CAD project to officially waive the first year maintenance charge of $37,073, reducing the amount in the contract previously approved in March. I anticipate some additional contract changes with Tyler as we migrate through the regional CAD project and get contracts aligned better. So thank you.
Norm, thank you very much. Any comments, questions on either of those two items? Okay, we're hearing none. Is there a motion to add them both to next week's consent agenda?
Motion to add the emergency communications items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Norm, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, under our human services, we have two items, and we're gonna turn these over to Natalie Corman at this time. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning. So on behalf of the Office of Adult Services, we have a letter of agreement with Susquehanna Software for the development and implementation of a new database system in adult services. This is just with the increase of the work that the Office of Adult Services does. We were looking at an opportunity to develop a software system for it. The MHAD office contracts with Susquehanna Software, and they do our CPR Web and our CPR Win system. And so they are going to platform that system into adult services, which is great because it's, we have that relationship with Susquehanna. They can build it for adult services. But those two systems will actually work in the future together, which is exciting from a human services perspective, as we always talk about individuals that work within a number of our departments. So we are looking to start with the foundation of adult services to get a database system with this agreement.
Okay, and that it looks like we're going to be utilizing block grant dollars as well for that as well. So that's good news as well.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to add this to next week's consent agenda?
Motion to add the letter of agreement with Susquehanna Software, Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried.
So for the next item, I actually rarely have done this, but I'm actually going to ask the board to no longer consider this grant opportunity, but that's for a good reason. We received this opportunity the middle of last week to submit a grant through our state office. However, and we thought we should move forward with it for the crisis services that we had previously applied for funding for, but we found out late Friday that the applications for our crisis diversion services, as well as our expansion of mobile crisis services, has been accepted by the Office of Mental Health Substance Abuse. And that is a 2 years of funding that we are now eligible for to enhance our crisis system services. And so since we've gotten awarded that opportunity to apply for that funding, we are not going to apply for this funding opportunity that presented itself last week.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, and congratulations on that. Early, it's not we're not over the finish line yet, but we're very close to that. But I think there'll be more to come on that. And in terms of the timeline for when we might hear about that funding, we should hear by that when.
So we are to submit our application to the Commonwealth by July 12th, and then I believe the turnaround time for that is going to be very quickly. Because they have wanted to move the money during the next, fiscal year time period. So we anticipate that we would, know for sure of that, but we have been given what they call conditional offers to it. And so as long as we submit our full application by July 12th, we will hopefully hear by the end of July that we can move forward with those services.
Fantastic. So more to come on that. We will look forward to that. Okay, great. We would look for a motion to just table this indefinitely. We would never return to the agenda. So I think it's the best way to dispense with this item. Would there be a motion to table indefinitely?
Motion to table the letter of interest to UMSAS.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, great. Thank you again, Natalie. Okay, we have an item with our GIS office. We're going to turn it over to our director, Nick Barger. Hi, Nick.
Hi there. Good morning. So what I have for you today is our standard yearly ESRI contract. The total is $23,750. It runs from August 22nd, 2021 to August 21st, 2022. This is for technical support for software problems, and it also gets us upgrades to the GIS software that we use, and that helps us create data and generate the websites and the web apps and everything we do here.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. Yeah, very useful piece of software that we use in many areas. We look for a motion to add this to the next week's consent agenda.
Motion to add the contract renewal with ESRI Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, great, Nick. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have one item for facilities management, and I believe at this time we're going to turn it over to Margaret for this specific item.
Yes, thanks very much. This item is a contract with TK Elevator Corporation to provide elevator service for 502 East Howard Street, which is the former Santa Crest building. We are not finalized in the details of this contract and would ask for this item to be tabled for an additional week.
Okay, we'd look for a motion to table for 1 week.
Motion to table the contract with TK Elevator Corporation for 1 week.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. It has been tabled. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, we have under our grant section for our planning and community development office, we have an item for our CDBG CV with the Chamber of Business and Industry of Center County, and wanted to see if we needed to add or discuss anything on this item. We have Mitzi Gallagher along with CETA Council of Governments with us. I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to add to this item, Mitzi.
No, I can just explain a little bit. The amendment will allow CBICC to get paid what was budgeted to them from the grant for their time they spent marketing the grant program. Originally, the application was submitted assuming that there would be a significant amount of eligible applications. So it was built to pay them a fee per eligible application. I guess fortunately for the businesses in Center County, a lot of different funding sources that didn't have as stringent of criteria became available. Unfortunately for this program, then that meant fewer applications. So in order to get CBICC the full amount that was budgeted for them, it just requires an amendment to the subrecipient agreement.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mitzi. Is there any other discussion or questions on this item? Okay, hearing and seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the amendment to the subrecipient agreement with the CBICC to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you very much, Mitzi. We'll see you in just a minute or two during underneath discussion items. So we'll see you in just a minute. You bet. For our consent agenda, we would look for a motion to approve, but prior to us doing so, we just wanted to highlight and turn it over to Chad Joyce to discuss a little bit about the identity access management policy and the patch management policy before we look to approve the consent agenda. So Chad, we'll turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you. The identity and access management policy is to establish a standard for prevention of unauthorized access to county resources and systems, and to keep the access to the principle of least privilege. So the idea of least privilege is each account and user has the least amount of access needed to successfully complete their job. This limits accounts from having admin or privilege access when they're really not needed. Some items in the identity access management that are touched on are account approval process, the provisioning and deprovisioning of accounts, as well as two-factor authentication. And then the patch management policy outlines the process for monitoring, acquiring, installing, and verifying patches and products on our systems. This also documents the requirements for maintaining up-to-date system security patches on all county-owned and managed workstations, servers, and any other systems.
Okay, thank you very much, Chad. We appreciate you pulling those out and just highlighting those so we're aware of those. Okay, much appreciated. All right, so we would look then for a motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
Motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions on the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried and the consent agenda is approved. Okay. We will move forward and we are going to head into our discussion items. And again, as mentioned, we'll turn it back over to Mitzi to discuss the 2021 CDBG application project submissions.
Okay, there's been several projects that have been submitted for consideration for the 2021 CDBG funds. The first one is the Haynes-Aaronsburg Municipal Authority Water System Improvement Project. This was funded $80,000 in your 2020 CDBG application. This was also the same project that applied for competitive and unfortunately was not awarded the competitive funding. So in order to go ahead and do a smaller piece of the overall project and utilize the $80,000 allocation from 2020, they were able to break it down to a smaller piece, which would be an estimated cost of $208,500. So subtracting out the 80,000 plus the required ER fee and DVRA fee, that leaves them asking for $128,500 for the 2021 CDBG program. And the survey was completed last year, found to be eligible with 54.96% LMI. The second project is the Penn Township project that the commissioners funded last year as well. The application was built to be multi-year funded, so we did know last year that they would be requesting additional funding this year. The difference needed is $117,000. And this, again, they did a survey last year. It is eligible 58.8% LMI. The third project is the 2019 Center County CDBG project for the Haynes Woodward Municipal Authority. This is their water well development project. Unfortunately, the project went to bid in early May, and because of the pandemic, we are finding all projects are coming in at a much higher than estimated amount. This one was significantly higher, so they did have to reject all bids. They have about $165,000 difference. And so we did want to put it in front of the commissioners to consider funding. Cdbg may not be the best source of funds for this project because of the fact that it will delay the project an entire year by the time DCD reviews applications, approves, and actually presents a contract. With the project and the authority being under DEP consent orders, CDBG probably isn't the best source of funding, but we did want to get it on your radar for possible funding. I also had spoken to Margaret and Ray about presenting the commissioners the information for possibly ARP funding that we know is coming. That might be a better source of funding for them for this additional 165,000, as we know those funds are going to move much faster than waiting a whole other year. So I will be putting something together to present to you for that consideration. The next project is another Haynes Woodward Municipal Authority project. This would be for a water line replacement project in the Mountain Avenue area of Haynes Township. Because it is a different service area and project area, it does require a survey. They did get the survey underway as of yesterday. So we are not sure yet whether or not this is an eligible project. We will have to wait for the survey to be completed to find out whether it is eligible. And then lastly is the Eagle Creek Homeowners Association project. This is, they are under DEP order to abandon their current sewer facility. These smaller sewer facilities that were needed several years ago DEP doesn't want to permit them and renew their permits any longer, which is what happened here. As the larger sewer, what they call city sewer, moves closer to an area, they do want these smaller facilities to shut down and hook on to these larger types of sewer treatment facilities. That's what's happening here. It is a very large project that also includes upgrading their water line at the same time. So they would be asking for a competitive. So what they're asking for here is just enough of an allocation to get them eligible to apply for a competitive application, which will be due February of 2022. They started a survey back in February of 2021. It is not complete yet. It is very, very close. They are not sure this is going to come in as eligible. There's 3 outstanding surveys that they are trying to reach the homeowners and hopeful that will come in. But right now we are unsure. And that is all the projects that have been presented.
Okay, thank you, Mitzi. In terms of the timeline for us to designate which projects are we wish to fund, what does that look like?
Your project selection is the 29th during your meeting. So
Okay.
by then they know they have to have their surveys completed by June 25th so that we have time to tabulate them on our end and ensure whether they indeed are eligible or not eligible.
Okay. Thank you, Mitzi. I think you mentioned the American Rescue Plan money, and as we know, that legislation specifically allows for, it's one of the few things that it explicitly calls out is water sewer projects. And so this, obviously would move a lot quicker, like you said. So I think we'd be eager to hear a little bit more about what that would look like. And to help the community out in Eastern Center County. So we look forward to hearing more about this in the coming days before we approach our final decision timeframe at a future meeting on the 29th. But any initial conversation or discussion we'd like to have. Any feedback on any of these projects?
Obviously,
No, I would like to see. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, obviously, there's a lot of moving parts to this when there's new funding available. We'll probably have final rules on the ARP maybe by possibly fall, Mitzi.
We're hoping sooner. I know things are trickling down now, so we're hoping that we'll have more information much sooner so that this can get rolling.
If I'm noticing, we have just under $300,000 of funding for the current year.
For your CDBG?
On a net basis.
Yes, it would be $297,892 for this year's allocation for projects. And then the applications are due in October. And as you know, we're still waiting for the 2020 contract.
Right.
So it does usually take them, DCD, a significant amount of time for them to review and actually get the contracts out and the funding available.
So we hopefully will have some flexibility into the fall to decide what we'll submit under the CDBG and what we can potentially look at for American Rescue Plan.
Well, for CDBG, you actually select your projects on the 29th.
Oh,
and
okay.
then we move on to the final hearing, and then I build the application. So that's pretty much set in stone of when you have to select projects by in order to have public participation time to comment and then have your final hearing, another comment period. But the ARP funding should be moving a lot sooner.
All right, thanks.
Mitzi, the project in the Bald Eagle Valley, that will be, is that part of, I was not clear, will that be part of the overall conversation, or are we going to push that off till later? How does that work?
The Eagle Creek project?
Yes.
Yeah, it depends on how their survey comes in, whether it's eligible or not eligible. If the survey does not come in as low, moderate income eligible, then it's not eligible for CDBG funds. And that may be another one you want to look at for ARP funding as well, then if it's not eligible for CDBG. So I did talk to Matt last night. He himself was going to go follow up with the 3 residents that have not responded to phone calls or return the survey form. So it's neck and neck whether it's going to be eligible or not. So if a homeowner does not respond to a survey, you have to count that as over and not eligible, and based on a average amount of how many people are in a family based on all the other surveys. So it's tight right now, and you would like to try to get those 3 homes surveyed so they don't count against you. So that is where we left it. He does know that he has to have it completed and returned to me by the 25th. So we will know on the 25th whether it's eligible.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will be seeing you again in the coming weeks, Mitzi, with final numbers and final recommendations. And we look forward to hearing from you at that time. So much appreciated.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. We have no action for that. So again, we'll see Mitzi in the coming weeks ahead. We'll move into our personnel items, and we did not hold a Thursday Board of Commissioners meeting or salary board meeting, so we're going to be
Are
holding.
we, are we
Oh.
skipping the check run?
I apologize, Mark. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We
Yep,
got smaller than normal check run of $434,485.06. We have a lot of adoptive and foster parent checks in there, so probably pretty important we get that out. I did choose a check of the week. It's a check for $1,000 to the Mountaintop Area Swimming Pool Association. It's one of the COVID-19 nonprofit grants that's coming through a little slowly. And so those of you up in the mountaintop know the pool is now open daily, 12 to 6, weather and attendance permitting. So would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated June 4th.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the check run. Any final discussion on the check run? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay. All right. At this point, we will head into personnel items. We have 10 items for our correctional facility, and we do have our Warden Chris Shell on the phone with us, so we'll turn it over to Warden Shell at this time.
Good morning, everybody. I'm asking approval of a recruitment incentive proposal for all new correctional staff, not including rehirees. That would be a disbursement of incremented through the next 6 months. It would be incremented to their individual paychecks. So we're asking the board for approval. This would start January 1 of 2021, and it would go to October 31, 21, basic recruitment and retention for our staff. Our second is a promotion and change of title for Henry Napoleon. Individual has 19 years experience, and he wants to change from security over to treatment, which is a great access, or not access, a promotion for him to move over there. He's already done some individual treatment programs with incarcerated individuals, so that's a big plus for us, is having that background with Napoleon. And the rest are new staff coming in.
Okay, thank you, Warden. Just jumping back to the approval of the recruitment incentive proposal for correctional officers, we are seeing a higher than average amount of overtime at the correctional facility. And so this is a great way for us to reduce the OT that we're seeing our COs and the rest of the staff working at the correctional facility. I think we're, as from my view, it's really a pilot program. It allows us to see if this will be helpful as we are recruiting people to come in. And I think will ultimately help in terms of getting those folks in. So look forward to seeing how that works. And I believe that we're also looking at potentially utilizing American Rescue Plan funds to be able to do this program with, as we are able to utilize that. So, but we'll open it up to any other questions, if there's any other questions on any of these 10 items for the correctional facility.
I'm just happy to support our warden, his staff, and our corrections officers in watching after the residents of the correctional facility.
It's all good.
Okay. All right. We look for a motion then to approve these 10 items.
Motion to approve the 10 items for the Senate County Correctional Facility.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on those items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. We do have an item for our emergency communications office, and this would be to consider approval of the personnel requisition for a full-time public safety telecommunicator. Is there a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve the item for emergency communications 911.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. For human resources, we have a consideration of the approval of the personnel requisition for an on-call occasional office floater. Is there a motion to approve this personnel requisition?
Motion to approve the item for human resources.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. All right, for Human Services, we do have 3 items, and just to check in with Natalie, is there anything you'd like to add to those 3 items, Natalie?
It's the one for adult services is we had a large pool of applicants for the supervisor position. So we thought if we had 2 personnel recs for them, if we had 2 candidates, we could bring them on board, train them to get them started, as we are still awaiting the opportunity to get caseworkers. So by adding the additional supervisor, we can pull from our current application pool and hopefully get them trained as we bring on the caseworkers as well. So the ERAP funding can do that. So we thought we would just do this while we are working on the rest of the applications.
Okay.
And then the rest are standard.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. All right, so we have, we will look for a motion then for those 3 items. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the 3 items for Human Services.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, we have a new addition here, Mr. Butler, and we would turn it over to Ray to see if there's anything you'd like to add about Mr. Butler's hire.
Sure, thank you, commissioners. We're recommending Peter Butler as our full-time senior planner. Peter comes out of the Penn State Department of Geography, and he also has some experience with not only some startup businesses, but also with the City of Knoxville Transit Authority. I believe he has some experience in an internship there and has some very good GIS background to assist in the duties and responsibilities with senior planners. So we're recommending Peter to be the next senior planner in our Planning Community Development Office.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Any questions on this item?
Just nice to see that we're actually hiring somebody from Penn State instead of the other way around. It's always nice when we hire from Penn State.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, we look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the appointment of Peter Butler, full-time senior planner in planning.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Welcome Mr. Butler aboard.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ray. Thank you. For our Public Defender's Office, we'll turn it over to Dave Crowley to also talk about an appointment in his office.
This will end our vacancies, and I'm very happy about that. Becomes highly recommended. He was an intern in the DA's office, and like us hiring from Penn State, public defender rarely hires from the DA office, but he does come highly recommended, and he started yesterday.
Fantastic. So we'd look for a motion to approve this appointment. This is retro to June 7th. Would there be a motion for Mr. Blake Spinatti?
Motion to appoint Blake Spinatti as a full-time legal secretary in the Public Defender's Office.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Carried. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. All right. We're going to report on judicial personnel items that the President, Judge Ruest, has approved the personnel requisition for full-time civil court coordinator in the Court Administration Office. Also, Pathonetary Jeremy Breon has approved the personnel requisition for full-time Department Clerk 2 in the Pathonetary's office. Well, we have no CNET requests today, but we let's see if we have a voter registration report at this time.
None today. We are not back in operation yet, but we will be next week, hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And any executive sessions that we would need to report, Margaret?
Yes, the Board of Commissioners met in an executive session on Monday, June 7th from 12:42 to 12:51 p.m. to discuss a legal issue.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. We have our public meeting schedule there. At this time, we will take any questions from the press before we adjourn and then head into our salary board. But are there any questions from the press at this time? Okay, we're hearing and seeing none at this time. We look for a motion to adjourn at 10:54.
Motion to adjourn the Commissioners' meeting at 10:54.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll stay on the same Zoom link for our salary board meeting. And we'll quickly call that to order as soon as we adjourn here. So all those in favor of adjourning, do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay, we are calling to order the salary board meeting for Center County Government at 10:54 on Tuesday, June 8th. We have the opportunity again for public comment. We, however, see no one here from the public for comments. We will move ahead with our approval of the minutes from Thursday, May 20th. Is there a motion to approve the salary board minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I think I actually heard Controller Moser get in there with a second. I have to.
Oh, good. That's fine.
That's okay. Yep. So it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried. At this time, the salary board will be joined by a voting member with Sheriff Brian Samsel for these three items. Good morning, Sheriff, and we'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for taking the time to approve these today. I'm asked for approval of the board for Ethan Walters. Ethan's a graduate of Claysburg Kimball High School. He served the United States Marine Corps from 2014 to 2020, where he's an infantry team leader. He was also formerly employed by the Blair County Prison, so he has some law enforcement experience. I'm asking the board to approve him. Do you want me to go through all three of them and then approve them all?
Yeah, why don't we do that, Sheriff, please?
Okay. So that's Ethan. He's a good kid, passed our PT test, so I'm excited to have him on board. Next one is Jacob Phillips. Jacob's a graduate from Waynesburg Central High School. He served the United States Army through 2008 to 2013 as an infantry team leader as well. He's a registered EMT, EVOC trainer, CPR certified, and trainer. He's previously worked for EMS in Morgantown, Virginia. I believe his wife moved up here and he's moving to the area as well, or has moved to the area. I'm excited to have him on board as well. And the last one is Ron Shaw, who recently retired from Spring Township Police Department, and he's going to work part-time as an on-call occasional. He's highly respected in the area. He was with the Spring Township Police Department from 1989 to 2021. He was formerly as a chief of police there, as filled in for the chief of police when they went through when they didn't have a chief of police, and he acted as the chief of police. And he's been highly respected in the area, and I wish the board to approve all three of them. And I'm bringing Shaw in at the third step, which is $14.09, and the other two, step 2 at $13.79 an hour. So Shaw's just coming in a little higher because he can hit the ground running. And I'm just doing this to backfill all the spots that I haven't filled for the last 14 months, and I got to play catch up now with getting people trained up. So I've asked the board to approve Ethan Walters, Jacob Phillips, and Ronald Shaw.
Okay, we'll take that as a motion, Sheriff, and we look for a second for that motion.
Second.
I will second. Oh, Mark, go ahead.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, Sheriff, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you. All right, for our correctional facility, we will turn it over to Warden Shell because with Wilmer Andrews or Andy's departure, I think this is a good thing to call out and recognize Mr. Billett, and so we'll turn it over to the warden to give some context on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Pipe. Shane Billett, we went through, we had an array of applicants for this position. Very qualified with second rounds interviews. It came down to 2 individuals, and Shane won out on it with his experience in central booking, his work ethic, his time in the facility, his 15 years experience. I think it's a well-deserved position for him, and I look to good things coming out of things. He has good ideas of changes that he wants to do, positive changes for the program. I'm asking the board for approval to bring him in at the job was at $20.46 an hour, full-time central booking lieutenant. We're looking to bring him in at 23.75 hours since he has the experience, bringing him in at the second level. It'll be a salary budget savings for 2021 of $12,314, as well as for 2022 will be a $13,416 savings, bringing him on.
Okay, thank you, Warden Shell. Any questions or comments on this promotion change in title for Mr. Billy? Okay, we're hearing none. Is there a motion to approve at the rate requested by the warden?
Motion to approve the promotion change in title for Shane Billet at step 2.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank you, Warden, again.
Thank you.
Okay, for our courts, we're going to start with an item, and we have Court Administrator Kendra Mickniss on. So let's turn it over to you, Kendra, for items I1, I2, II, and III. And maybe, and if we can proceed, if you're not
Can
able
you hear
to.
me now?
Yeah, we can. Yes. Hi, Kendra. Yep.
Good morning. The first item is from the court administration, the office. We had a retirement from our central court coordinator, who had been here for roughly 28 years. That position had always been listed at a salary grade 9. We do have a civil court position and a criminal court coordinator position in court admin, and those positions are listed at salary grade 10. So we would ask that just to equal out the coordinator positions, that central court coordinator position be moved from a 9 to a 10. With that then is a transfer of a staff who's actually our civil court coordinator now. She would transfer to the central court coordinator. So she's already a 10. So it would just be a lateral transfer if this is approved for the central court coordinator position.
Okay. Any questions on the two positions for court administration today? Okay, we're seeing none. Is there a motion to approve those two items?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, and then we'll go into the MDJ items.
So the first item is for MDJ Hahn's office. He had a retirement and some resignations. So he had two positions open. This is the last position to be filled. This is the office supervisor. Monique Brody had applied for the position of office supervisor. Based on her education, her experience, the court's asking that she actually be brought in at a higher salary grade at the $16.05 an hour. There is savings because the prior office supervisor retired. She had been there for several years. So that's the reason for the increase for Monique. And then for the central court or for the center hall position, Carly Smith, she took over a position of court secretary. The individual who was in that position is now the office supervisor. So there'd be savings in that office as well, just based on Carly being so new to the position and the person that was there being in that position for so long. So we just asked that both of those be approved.
Okay, thank you, Kendra. Is there a motion to approve those two items?
Motion to approve the two MDGA items.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
But the motion has carried. Thank you very much, Kendra.
Thank you.
All right, for our probation item here, we are going to turn it over to Director Ryan Smeltzer. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on. Yes, we're looking to get Tina Olivieri approved for the Department Clerk 2 position at Step 3, $12.78 an hour. She recently was employed with Penn State, also has 14 years experience with the Phillipsburg Osceola School District, which is a plus. And then also finally, she recently graduated from South Hills with an associate's degree in administrative services. So we're really excited to bring her in. We've had this vacancy open for quite a while. So we're anxious to bring her in here because we definitely have a lot of backlog to go through. So excited to bring her in.
Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. Is there a motion to approve the rate for Tina Olivieri?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, thank you again, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have the same items that we had for, or two, I should say, for, yeah, they're related to the ones that we just had on the Board of Commissioners agenda, but we'll take action here for these three. Is there a motion to approve the three items for Human Services?
Motion to approve the three items for Human Services.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Okay. All right. With that, we would look to see if there's any other items to come before the salary board at this time. Okay. Hearing none, we'd look for a motion to adjourn. And I should say, I apologize if there's any other press questions. We just don't want to leave them hanging. It looks like we are no longer joined by anybody from the media. So would there be a motion to adjourn at this time?
Motion to adjourn at 11:05.
Second.
All right, we'll give that to Commissioner Dersham there. All those in favor of adjourning the salary board meeting do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you all. Have a great day.